Hi, it's me again with another book recommendation. This week's book is influenced by the news once again. I was reading an article earlier on all about this week being 75 years since the liberation of the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp. It basically was the beginning of the end of the Second World War, and it was a time where British troops went in and freed many of the thousands of Jews who were held captive. So this week's book is Boy in the Striped Pyjamas. I'm going to read part of chapter 11 to you to give you a taste of what to expect. Many of you will have probably seen or heard of the book before. Some will have read it, some will have seen the film. It's a great book. It's fairly straightforward, but the context that you can get from it and the learning that you can do about life in a concentration camp is really useful. So let's hear from chapter 11. So this chapter is called The Fury. Some months earlier, just after Father received a new uniform, which meant that everyone had to call him Commandant, and just before Bruno came home to find Maria packing up his things, Father came home one evening in a state of great excitement, which was terribly unlike him, and marched into the living room where Mother, Bruno and Gretel were sitting reading their books. "Thursday night," he announced. "If we have any plans for Thursday night, we have to cancel them." "You can change your plans if you want to," said Mother, "but I've made arrangements to go to the theatre with..." "The Fury has something he wants to discuss with me," said Father, who was allowed to interrupt Mother even if no one else was. "I just got a phone call from him this afternoon. The only time he can make is Thursday evening, and he's invited himself to dinner." Mother's eyes opened and her mouth made the shape of an O. Bruno stared at her and wondered whether this was what he looked like when he was surprised about something. "But you're not serious," said Mother, growing a little pale. "He's coming here? To our house?" Father nodded. "At 7 o'clock, he said. "So we'd better think about something special for dinner." "Oh my," said Mother, her eyes moving back and forth quickly as she started to think of all the things that needed doing. "Who's the Fury?" asked Bruno. "You're pronouncing it wrong," said Father, pronouncing it correctly for him. "The Fury," said Bruno again, trying to get it right but failing again. "No," said Father. Oh, never mind." "Well, who is he anyway?" Bruno asked again. Father stared at him, astonished. "You know perfectly well who the Fury is," he said. "I don't," said Bruno. "He runs the country, idiot," said Gretel, showing off as sisters tend to do. It was things like this that made her such a hopeless case. "Don't you ever read the newspapers?" So that's the first part of chapter 11 from Boy in the Striped Pyjamas, all about the Fury. I'm sure many of you will have worked out who the Fury is, and if anyone's not worked it out, it's of course Adolf Hitler. So it's a great book to read, straightforward book, but you'll learn so much about World War II and the Holocaust as you are reading it.